everyone, so welcome to my newest build that I'm just getting started here. Really excited about this one. Well, I'm excited about all my models generally, but this one in particular just because of some of my childhood memories of really loving both of these particular props in Space 1999. Again, a lot of attention to detail here. In fact, they even give you multiple versions, season 1 and 2 versions of the stun kill switch, in terms of whether you want to have it sort of the vertical or the horizontal version of that. It comes actually with both, which is a great attention to detail. I love this part. I read this here earlier. This product is a prop replica and requires assembly. It does not stun or kill and does not shoot projectiles or laser beams of any kind. So that's disappointing slightly, but that it doesn't shoot any kind of laser beams of any kind. Anyway, but it is a choking hazard. I did see that somewhere on here, so it's not completely without violence. And then the next sprue tree is our stun gun here. Of course, it's slightly misnamed. It could do more than stun. It could also kill, as you could see on the switch there. So excited about this. Yeah, I mean, just look at that. It's like the 1-to-1 scale. That's really great. And then, of course, all the pieces that go with that as well. So we've got the sort of the part that'll clamp in on the handle. I'm assuming here that kind of goes in at the very kind of end, and then we'll be able to get to our battery in here. By the way, the kit, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I did or not, on one of the side panels, they mentioned that it's designed for adding lighting effects. So I'm sure there's a way that you'll be able to get to the battery in here, which is just perfect for me. And then I can see the different tops here. So these are the different versions, including the blank from the very originals, and then the different versions of the slider. And and there's the little slide. Those are the two different versions of the slide piece, and then that's the trigger itself. Yeah, and then all the little pieces that we'll plug in here. I'm seeing the different buttons. Some of those will be some various different colors. Oh, some chrome pieces. See, so that's likely got to go. I can see just with that shine there's going to be a nice gloss coat underneath this, which is probably going to be fine. Typically, I don't mind doing that. I'll just bleach off the chrome paint and then be able to just lightly sand it with a very, very high grit sandpaper, and then we can just lay down my own metallics. The color of the stun gun itself, I'm looking at going with the RAF high-speed silver. I think it's a pretty good match. So just about to put these guys into the bleach. So I have this is actually fairly highly concentrated bleach, which is just what I like to use for this kind of. They're all going to go in. So let's just get them going. There. So we'll leave that overnight, and that'll going into the bleach bath. It actually might not even take all night. It's actually surprisingly quick. How fast that'll take that, but certainly by tomorrow morning. I'll have nice clean pieces that we can work with. So all the pieces out of the wash and dried here. Okay, so just going to take a few more pieces apart here. As I mentioned, I think already, or might have, I'm going to do the sort of black pieces. So this one for sure needs to be actually assembled, and it's one of those early pieces that we can definitely get going here. So I really don't want any chance of that coming apart, so I'm actually tempted in this particular case actually to use my testers. Notice I had that whole kind of piece come off like that. Oh, good old testers here. Always fun time. All right. So now we've got that. Let's just grab the toothpick here. And so what I'm going to do is just lay this down. Yeah, so just finishing up getting this guy ready here. So glued into place, and then I've just been getting it smooth as I can with getting the 800 sandpaper here. It feels pretty nice. It's pretty smooth everywhere, but let's just finish that, and then I'll get out my putty here, and we'll just lay down a little bead here. It won't take much, but I'll just get some along here anyway, just top edge that I'm happy with that. Yeah. Good. And that's the nice part about this plastic putty too. It is water-based, and so unlike some putties where that's, you know, you don't want to be mucking too much in it. It's really just so awesome. I just really love it. Yeah, acrylic putty. Okay, just going to get these guys, the little buttons here, kind of laid out and ready for priming. And so what I'm hoping here, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but I'm hoping that by coming at these and kind of coming up nice against them, that we'll have a nice clean cut here. Let's just see how those turn out. Yeah, they look really good. I'm just going to check on our just how far down. Those ones are going to actually be the clear ones. It's up here where we would see these. Let's just put one in and just see. Yeah, so there is ever so slight. You can see just a little bit there. So we definitely do want to. That's what I kind of mentioned, is that, you know, sitting down in there, the sprue tree connection is just high enough where you're seeing that imperfection, and so no big deal. So we'll just grab our sandpaper here, and actually I'm just going to use 800 actually, and we're just going to ease each time I got one of these. Slight, unfortunate. If they'd brought this sprue even just a little bit lower, it could have been hidden kind of in the sort of kind of the recess spot where this will be going down, but that's all right. That looks good. So then just always want to make sure you're taking the dust off, getting ready. Okay, so then let's just go through here. Okay, as I say, so now I've just got that nice hard piece of wood, and then just my sandpaper there, and so then all I'll do here is actually just a little quicker than moving the sandpaper on the piece. It's just easier for me to just do it that way, and just do a little bit of an assembly line here, with the dust off, and put them on, just like that. There we go. Same approach as we used on the other ones. Just identical. Just going to take off those little sprue tree remnants here. Get them nice and flat on both sides. Hey guys, so just getting set now. I've just finished the black primer, and I'm now been shaking and getting ready the white and the gray. I'm going to be laying down the gray on the parts that are getting our silver, and I'll be laying down the white on the comm lock and all the pieces, and obviously pieces that are white. There's some white buttons, and really love this primer. Just it works well for me because I do tend also to do a lot of taping and a lot of just like the way that this really holds, and that it's an acrylic, and such a powerful acrylic primer is great. Okay. it stays together there. If that's all glued, just see what this would be like here. Yeah, so, I mean, if that's all firmly glued together, and it gives it a nice weight too, it's awesome. That battery will fit in there. You know, you can see it's tight, and holding it tight like that, I can get it out. Just, whew. Now I have no idea if all 9-volt batteries are, you know, exactly the same dimensions. If you could get a slightly thinner one, that would be ideal. I've got my little switch here that is going to come up, and I'm going to drill a hole in here, and then our little, let me just grab the trigger. There. Okay. So it's going to be down like that, and so then underneath that, I'm going to get my switch coming in. So one of the things I'm going to have to be really careful about here is to make sure that I get the right height. This, obviously this switch has a little there's a little locking piece that I'll be able to screw it into place, and so then I just got to make sure I get the right height so that it comes right kind of on there, and that there's room to press it kind of down. This is a momentary switch. There are definitely different colors inside. Now this model, it doesn't show that. The little nozzle pieces don't show, but the actual Hero props actually had the same coloration. So there was the red, yellow, green, and blue inside, and I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to be painting the insides of each of these nozzles with the color. We only ever saw the single beam coming out the top, which is the stun, well, stun and kill beam comes out there really, and I think we normally saw that as red. I think even the stun was red, although I don't think it was terribly consistent actually. I think maybe it's yellow sometimes, or it's vice versa. I can't remember. Anyway, they always came out the top, although technically I think they always intended, when this prop was designed, I do believe it was intended to pick, you know, and they show that on the model box there too, right? This is the disintegrator beam, this is the penetration beam, whatever that is, this is the torch beam, and this is the stun kill effect. So so I do believe, and they, especially with the coloring inside each of these, that's what these were intended to do, or at least they were supposed to light up, depending on what. Well, but you would think it would need to be selected here, because all you've got up here is to decide on this top one whether it's just going to be stun or kill. So, you know, this would be your only way, which seems a little dangerous to have it on the handle, but that's all right. We don't need to be picky. Maybe you had to push some other button to activate that. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyway, so that's a very long story for a short topic. Actually, I saw over on Boyd's Trekworks, he talks about, actually some of the comments there too, they talk about, he has it nicely hooked up where he's got it, actually just a little switch, I think. Actually, he added a sort of a, I can't remember, under here I think he added a switch. But then somebody had mentioned in the comments there that you could add just a little, and I do have a reed switch. I have a Raspberry kit that has a bunch of switches, and I do have a magnetic switch that I could hook a little magnet into my slider, and yeah, that would be another way to have if it went to kill, have all four come on. So that's a definite, it has an appeal in that it's no extra, it would just be all incorporated. There's no special buttons. It would be this button to activate, and this slider to decide whether it's going to be a single. So that actually is kind of appealing. I'll probably maybe go with that and try the, thanks to Boyd and his channel, try maybe the reed switch there and just see if I can make the actual lighting itself. I believe I am going to go kind of crazy here and go with these super Flux LEDs. These are extremely highly luminous. This 17,000 millicandles, which is very, very high compared to, you know, sort of a normal, and this is an ultra bright, sort of 3 millimeter bulb here. That's 6,000, so you can see, you know, we're almost 3 times brighter than a super white 3 mil with these ultras. There should be no problem with lots of clearance here. These will sit very nicely. Actually, you'll see they're nice and really nice, and just fit perfectly in here actually. all the way along there. And then those will throw out a lot of light, and they run it. And actually, weirdly, not that much more. So if you were to look at these 3 mil guys, really, it's 18 milliamps to run them. This is just running at 20. So it's very little. It's like 0.2 milliamps more, which is almost nothing. And the nice part about these guys is they're exactly 3 volt. And so I can put 3 of them without any resistor at all on this 9 volt, and that'll work perfectly. So we'll just wire that in on its own. And as I say, that one's got the power direct just on that's the main one that's just on the direct. It's going to bypass the other, and then the other 3 will be on the additional power that's going to come off, that's going to go to our 3-way switch, or the reed switch actually, that's going to decide to turn whether the other 3 come on or not, depending on stun or kill. When we look at sort of the dynamics of how this switch is going to work, we're going to come in kind of just, I was just doing a little bit of testing, as I say, yesterday, and if I have this loosened off here, and it's just going to come in just like that. And of course I'll have a hole. This is a 1/4 inch hole, so once I get this, I'll actually probably drill that here pretty soon, so at least I have the half hole to work with. And then that'll just tighten up nicely down like that. So you can see that we'll have it kind of sitting right in there like that. And then the trigger will come kind of just nicely down in here. So I was just checking out how that's, the dynamics, how that's going to look here, and I think it's going to work great. You can see that right now there's these little posts, which is really nice that they've done it this way, because what it means is once this is in place like that, it'll be down just a little further, but you can get the sense of it. And you can see that it's almost there, but I'll need to take these pegs off. But once the pegs are off, you can see I'm bottoming out right there, and so it's very little. And so all I need is to be able to push it down that far. So it's pretty much, if you notice, that's pretty much exactly the distance of taking out these legs. So it's going to work absolutely perfectly. It's designed for this, and they actually designed it like this. If they'd brought the plastic all the way down, that wouldn't work so well. It wouldn't have been built for this kind of functionality. But the way they've done it, it's clearly, you can just pin those off and then attach this. We'll just glue this right on there. CA glue it right on, and it'll be, that becomes the button, and it's perfectly situated there. So absolutely ideal. Hey everyone, so just doing a bit of work, kind of laying out the circuit. So I've got the first part of the circuit set up, which is just the main coming from the 9 volt battery up to the trigger switch, and then it's just going to pass through. There's a resistor here, the 385 ohm, and it'll go to the first bulb, and then the negative lead will come back out and go into the battery. So that's the primary circuit. You can see that I do have a couple of connections I'm going to make to add the second circuit hooked up to that battery, but this is the first one here. So we can see coming out the positive lead coming to the switch, and then it carries on here, and I've got that 385 ohm resistor, and then it hits the light on the positive side, and then on the negative side we head out to the negative terminal on the battery. So I've got my desk power set to 9 volts here, so we're simulating that, and we should be good to go with this 385 on a single bulb. That should reduce it down to 3 volts, so we should be good. And if we push the button, sure enough, we'll get that, and that's going to be our top light, the top light on our and that's circuit 1. So now the job is to add in the other part of the circuit, and the key thing here is that I have to, number 1, tap into the power after the trigger event, because I only want those lights to come on when the trigger is depressed, but before the resistor, because I need all 9 volts, because I've got 3 volt bulbs that all need lighting, and so that 9 volts will do that without the need of a resistor. So I'm just going to tap in between the switch and the resistor, add in our reed switch here, which is going to be magnetically controlled because of our stun to kill switch. Will then enable, when it goes to kill, it's going to enable close this switch, and we will then have these bulbs light up as well, where it resumes back into negative. So that'll complete the second circuit. What's really important here is that that we hook these bulbs up in series, because as I say, I'm not using resistors. They're not all. That would be another option, is I could have 385 ohm resistors for each of them, but that's a bit of a waste of power. and not necessary by adding these in a series. I don't need that, and I'm using just more energy efficient, not having that resistor for each of them, and less heat being generated inside there as well. So that's what I'm going to do. But to do that, you'll notice it's really important that the positive line that's coming in on that first bulb goes in the positive terminal, but then the negative terminal actually has to go to the positive terminal of the next one, and then the negative terminal of that one has to go to the positive, and then the negative will feed back into our negative in the loop. So that's really important that it be in series, otherwise you will blow these bulbs. If you were to do any kind of parallel connection where these would kind of are joined in any kind of way, and you're just doing runners out, hook that up here. We'll just kind of wrap that around that pin a little bit like that. Nice. And so then I'm just going to do one of these at a time. It's tempting to go hook a bunch of them up, but in my experience, because they're just kind of sitting on there loose, you're just kind of better to do one at a time, be a little bit patient here, and save yourself some headaches. There's our first guy. So that's hooked up there. Just carry on with another red, because although it's going on the it's kind of going on the negative lead here, it's really just carrying on the positive circuit. It's positive on the following light. So if you in a sense, I'm always going to wire these with the where the positive wire is the input. So in this case, it's going to be that red. So we want that here. So just again solder him in. I run a really hot iron, 480 degrees, so just so that I don't have to be on those pins for very long. Good. So that's our first LED wired, and so now, as I say, the next one that it's going to come into, in this case, it's being fed out. The negative is now going to become it's really the positive lead that we're going to be feeding into here. And so remember, our positives are on the bottom here. So just like on the other one, we're going to come in on this bottom side here. So just going to do the exact same thing. That. And so now, last, we're going to take our one lead, and I have it a little longer because it's the bottom of the gun and I need to come all the way back up. So that's why this guy's just a little bit longer. And now we're going to hook up to the negative lead here, which are the top guys. And in this case, I'm going to go here because this is in the gun, if you imagine, it's at the bottom, so I need this lead to come out, and it makes most sense to have it up top here. So that's what we'll do on the negative, and then this is going to actually head back to our negative terminal. Okay. So we now have kind of all of our lights, the 3 kill lights now kind of hooked up in sequence here. And so they'll go into the gun like that. Let me just come in on this side of this. There, like that. So now we've got our red coming in after the switch, the main trigger, before the resistor. So we've got full 12 volt coming into the reed switch, and then it'll feed into our lights. So let's try that again. So we still have the main stun lights on trigger. There we go. So it's in kill position now. You can see all 3 lights come on. When we slide it back off, it goes off. Comes in, turns on, slide it off, it's off. So this is working just as designed. So it's going to work great. The nice part about these lights too, in addition to them being very bright, they're also, here I'll show you, they also are very, they have 3D. So if you look, even unlike most LEDs where only when you look straight at them are they bright, these ones actually have quite a bit, because they, they'll kind of come out a little bit, and just enough, because that 130 degree kind of viewing angle of the light, it'll kind of fill up the whole the area that's being emitted will kind of fill entirely up with light. So it should look just great once we get these holes made just a little bit bigger. Really gently, slow speed here. So yeah, they're pretty much completely clean. The only spot I can see is I think just that little bit on the top of the clip there. Still has a little bit. If I left that sit another overnight, that'd come off. But I don't think there's any point. I'm going to be just lightly sanding that anyway and getting it prepped for the paint. So there's no problem there with that little bit. And even if there is a little bit, that's the only little bit actually that I see out of all of them. So pretty much ate through all of that really, really well. Hey guys, so yeah, so just got these guys rinsed off. As I say, they look really great. They all came really clean here. What I really want to do is get at these guys, the little nozzles here for the emitters. So I just was testing, and the hole looks really good. We've got this one right here, and I can just put one of those in here. And so if you look there, you can see how that's just coming through nicely. But what I wanted to do was get one of the nozzles in place and just make sure. But that's looking great. So I'm very encouraged about that. But let's see how far back it comes. So that we just need to experiment with here a little bit. So let's pull this guy in. So we know it's going to come in like that. All of them kind of come as far back as they can. So this bottom one's going to stick out a little further, but that's how they're designed to do. So right back to the back like that. And then so then my bulb is coming in like this. Yeah, so you can see I'm just a little bit shy. I'd love to come in just a little bit more. And so I just want to bore out that hole. It won't take much, just a little bit to be able to allow that to come in ever so slightly, a little bit more, so that what I want is that it can seat those edges of this bulb. I want it to, of course, that's where I'm going to be gluing it, and I just want it to sit right down there. So I really only need to, like whatever that is, maybe an eighth. It's not even an eighth, isn't it? It's like a 16th. I'm just going to use my drill bit very, very carefully here. Just at a very low speed. And not very much. There. That's as much as I want to go here. So you can see, we just kind of took it out a little bit more there. So what that was doing for me, you can see how it was just kind of carving at a little steeper angle. So now let's try that. So it'll come in like that. Up against there. Come down like that. And the bulb will come in like that. Oh, look at that. So now we're perfectly seated. So yeah, so that'll work great. And we'll have that nicely for all of them. So that those can be inserted. Just looking here. And so I was just testing the my lights here just to see kind of how this is going to look and to see how much light blocking, if any, that we're going to need. So I just want to kind of simulate the light kind of going to come up here. It's going to be seated against just like that. Now we'll have this same sort of framing. We'll go around there too. So it's just going to be this kind of what we see at the back end that we're going to see. Now, let me just hit the lights here quickly. So let's just have a look here when we pull that trigger. You can see how bright the emitter is extremely bright. I mean, it's like blindingly bright, which is awesome. And in the back there is a bit of light. So it's, you can see that it does, it actually does emit a little on the back. Look in this area. You can see. Well, actually, don't even need to look in that area. Just look at that. So I am going to paint the inside of this black while I'm doing the priming. I'm going to prime this in black, actually. I just decided it for me. Use the gloss black on the outside here, and then I'll use my regular primer on the inside. So just looking a little bit at the pieces that I want to use. So I'm going to be using the season 1, essentially the season 1 pieces, which is the bigger knobs will go on here. So these guys will get my brushed steel look here. Notice that I do have to do a little bit of cleaning up there before I do the painting there. You can also see the gloss coat I was talking about that's underneath all the chrome pieces. You can see it quite clearly, actually. It's a pretty thick coat too. Actually, if you look right here, you can really see just how thick they lay that down. Look at that's an opening that's just completely glazed over with that pretty thick coat, which is normal. That's how you get shiny. It's required for chrome to have that reflective undercoat like that. So and it actually works just great for us. We can paint right over that. I'll slightly may use just a little bit of sandpaper, so that'll work lovely. And then don't forget, underneath that I'm going to be installing my reed switch, so that'll go in as part of when we do the wiring here. I'm going to be adding all the wiring here before I put it, obviously seal it in. It has to be all in and tested and working, and then we'll seal it up and do all of that. But yeah, just thought I'd show you that. I am going to prepare the other switch too, because it may well be that I can kind of slide it in, and it could be something that's interchangeable if I wanted to go with the season 2. And same with these guys, I'll leave them something that can they're not going to glue those in, that you can just insert. They nice snug fit, and it even makes it where they could be turned. They look like knobs. I don't know that we ever saw them turning them. I was trying to remember whether I remember any episode where they were adjusting those, but in any case, that's how I'm going to do it. And so that way I could convert this to season 2 if I wanted to. Right here, centered. And it's exactly a 1/4 inch drill bit that I got to do. That's what my my little switch. So when it pops through, it really does. Which is why I want it to go nice and slow. But as it turns out, as you can see, where I drilled, it's not going to hit anything, thankfully. So it worked out great. Look at that. Beautiful. That's just perfect. And so then we'll just, basically once that's more permanent, we'll just tighten this down like this. There. Nice and tight. That's not going to go anywhere. I just make sure with that trigger, let me just make sure. You can see all this stuff came out of it's all primed here. I just want to make sure that, in fact, with that trigger, that it's going to be okay here. Let me just make sure. I think so, but I just want to make sure. Just tighten that up a little bit there. So it comes in on that side. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. There. So let's just slide that on here. Yeah, that's perfect. That feels awesome, actually. Love it.